Martha's.
Oh, who's Barbara?
Okay.
Oh, look at us. We're going to talk on the air about what I don't know and where it is for you.
It's okay. It's okay. Actually, yeah, this one should have been for this week. I'll go ahead and forward it to you, but we'll go ahead and do Martha's next.
Okay. Uh, this is very interesting, and we talked to her some weeks ago. When we make our transition, do you see us meeting our loved ones like parents, grandparents, or does my craving for this mean I have a problem with attachment? Well, I have to say, what I'm going to say is what I experienced when my mother passed was because my mother had decided, which I didn't realize until about 2 days into her not moving on when the train came, was that so my father came, her mother and father came, all of her sisters came, and my story is that one night we were there all night, my oldest son and I, with her, and we were talking to her about all the people that we could see were here for her. And the next morning, the lady in the next bed said to me, "How did you get all those people in the room without the nurse seeing them last night?" I know. So that made me a convert to that they're there.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. And I feel a little bit like Sue does, Martha, but we call her Sue, because I was afraid it was my wishful thinking for a long time, and that converted it for me, because I knew who it was that were there. I knew exactly what order they were in, how they were standing there, and her wrestling was that she had been judgmental, because I said, "Daddy's hand is out to reach for you," and she said, and she cried, and she said, "I know, but I've been so judgmental. What's going to happen to me?" And I said, "Oh, honey, nothing's going to happen to you." They're going to say, "So, you struggle with judgment. Well, it's okay. We'll work that out." And honest to God, she died the next day.
Well, God love her.
Yeah, but it was, and what I said to her was, I said, "You've known all this time you were judgmental?"
Oh, my goodness.
And she said, "Well, of course."
Isn't that interesting?
But it had been what we both had wrestled with her whole life.
Yes.
And so I believe they're there because they're so excited we're coming.
Well,
and they're not going to miss it for the world.
No, and I have my own thoughts on that as well. So yeah. All right.
And so her other question is, since this is the year of transformation, how do you think we as individuals will be affected? Will we be affected both spiritually and physically, and how? So you want to lead with this one?
Yes, I can. As individuals, this affects, well, I guess I probably need to rephrase that. It actually, as a collective, it affects us, and that individually is because of the individuals being a part of, being aware of, and really, I guess I want to say, to grab a hold of what's really going on, which is what you and I, Nancy, talk about all the time, which is the energies are almost tangible where you can feel them. You can feel the ebb and flow in the energies. That's part of the transformation. As individuals, will be affected depending on how your perspective is. And your perspective is how do you see change? Because that's what energy is. It brings in and out different energies. With that brings different thoughts, different feelings, different emotions, different ideas. It brings it in, all the things that are different. It brings it in and allows us to experience it. So individually, if we own that, if we honor it, and we have the idea that, oh, this energy, this influx of energy, this is how it feels. What do I do with it? And then to carry it out from that thought process of question to go, oh, I think maybe I need to balance myself or center myself, or maybe I need to be more creative, depending on where that energy is. So individually, every time we make a choice about something, it affects the collective.
Absolutely.
And that collective then, the more positive that we handle these changes, the transformations, the higher in elevation we all become, and the more that energy that comes in brings us more and more information, more and more opportunities for new perspectives, for raising our vibrations, for embracing new ideas. So for me, it feels like it's a huge opportunity. Now, physically, that was the other part of the question. It can be quite devastating, these changes, because the body has to get used to it. And it's usually the last thing that we're really in control of is our body. So physically, we can feel tired, we can feel run down. That means to listen, learn how to listen. Again, that's part of the change, the transformation, is listening to the body. And, maybe it's telling you that you need to eat a lot of fruits, or you need to drink a lot of water, and something that's out of the ordinary. But if you learn to listen to your body will tell you what it needs. Because it doesn't need the same thing every day, because the energies change every day. So physically, if you're aware mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, then physically it becomes easier for you to deal with the transformation individually, and then how it affects the collective.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I very, very much have the sort of version of empirical evidence because of clients who are just changing right and left. People, and I have clients that I've had a long, long time who really stayed at a place defending their right. Very gifted people, but I think as I'm watching them surrender, and I mean that in the most positive way, not the loss of control, or it wasn't about that. It was, and again, it was the idea that their imprint was don't aspire to something that you'll never be able to accomplish. So just don't aspire to it. Otherwise you'll be disappointed. So not encouraged. And that kept them captive. And one by one, it really is beautiful, because in these just last weeks, these people have one after another surrendered completely to their potential with a lot of trust and enthusiasm, and are headed on their own road. And it was, and really, they've pretty much one or another's version of, I don't know how you stood this for so long. And I said, it wasn't up to me to decide when your shift was going to come. It was up to you when you were ready. And I get the feeling that that's again, it's not quite tangible, but it's evident.
Right. And here's what we need to do is we need to take a quick break. There's a question for me in the chat box that I'll answer when we come back. So you guys stay with us. There's more of Journeys with Rebecca and Nancy Ogren right after this.
You're listening to the Haunted Voices Radio Network.
So why buy long-term storage and emergency preparedness direct dried and dehydrated food? Well, freeze-dried and dehydrated foods can be stored just about any place and will be ready when you need it. Now, in the event of a disaster that disrupts transportation, grocery stores would be empty within 3 days. And buying bulk food purchases make your dollars really count. has a long-term shelf life of 7 to 30 years, and